Blue Circle of Death. Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this is Sean Conley, dialing in all the way from Australia. Sean, are you having a decent Christmas? Are you in that zone where days are disappearing? You're not quite sure what day of the week it is?
Yeah, it's been very hot down here. 41 on Christmas Day, so we're all just trying to stay cool and keep our beers cold. It's been a bit of a tricky one this year.
Right, you're trying to stay cool. I'm trying to stay cool watching that first
I can
half.
tell, yeah.
Six
goals. You're pretty fired up, Paul.
Honestly, Sean, I'm looking at this performance and I'm thinking, right, I take a 4-2 win against anybody, but the word chaos has been used in that first half quite a few times by the commentary team. And I think it's the best descriptive word to use in terms of that performance. You can look at some fantastically taken goals, nicely worked attacks. You can look at the fact we've been behind twice, and we look at the positive where you've got the character to come back from that. Sean, particularly when you're in a run of games where we've only won 1 in 5. It's all about character and how you react to it. But that was chaotic in the first half. I mean, we are playing the worst team in the Premiership today. Let's not forget. And it's like a game of shooty in. Next goal's the winner, guys. Listen, if we go out there and we score another couple of goals in the second half and it's a resounding victory, and we've clawed back some of the goals in terms of goal difference on Hearts, who got beat earlier on today, brilliant. I'm going to be positive about that outcome. But I'm also looking at the nuances of our setup, our shape, and our performance, particularly defensively, Sean. And we are so fragile at the back, not just the 2 goals. Montana could have scored 3 or 4 in that first half. We're so fragile. Why do you think it is? I touched on this with the starting 11. Listen, 3-4-3 isn't like rocket science. It's not like a forward-thinking, brand new formation, right? That's not the issue here. But I think playing players out of position is an issue. I think Tony Ralston looks like a fish out of water. I think Yang is one of the worst defensive players that we've got, yet he's playing wing-back. He's finding himself defending quite a bit and not defending too well. And I think that's a massive issue for me. It's the personnel rather than the shape, to be honest. It looks disorganised to me at the back, Sean. And I'm not wanting to be negative. We're winning the game, 4-2. The atmosphere is fantastic. The crowd is in fine voice. We've got 3 stands mobbed out, Sean. I'm looking at all that positive as well. But I am concerned that if we're playing a better team today, they could have dismantled us more than once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously in the first few games, we couldn't really score under Nancy, and now we're seem to have found the shooting boots today. That's a brilliant finish from Nygren. The penalty we can talk about is its own thing. But yeah, it was sinking feeling when we go 1-0 down and then 2-1 down. Like it was especially when both goals come from the same player. Even though they had different build-ups, they looked the same in terms of how they were finished, and therefore it was a bit like, well, this is supposed to be professional football here, guys. Can we not learn from our mistakes? And the defending does feel a bit amateur at times. Obviously, it's not amateur in the sense like, brilliant finish from Nygren, 2 brilliant finishes from Montano. So that's high quality finishing, but the defending is amateur. I have often said that poor defending equals entertaining football, and I stand by that. That's neutral perspective. I love going to watch Forest Mechanics win a game 5-4 because I'm not emotionally invested in the outcome of the game, and it's great to see 9 goals. But as a Celtic fan, you are emotionally invested in this outcome of this game. You do get annoyed when we can't defend. You do get frustrated. So it is definitely frustrating. And if you want to be specific, yes, Ralston and Yang were both badly at fault. When I watched back that first goal, I was like, why is he just standing there? I really didn't understand what was going on. Like, does he think he's supposed to hold his position there? I couldn't quite figure it out. He's been coached to hold his position in that moment. I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. And then the second one, that one's actually on Yang, I think, not on Ralston, because that's, as far as I can tell, without knowing the system or what the coach wants. If you've got a defender and a winger, then the winger should be the one covering the back post.
Absolutely.
Defender tucks in. So
yeah,
I think that one's on Yang, to be fair to Ralston. But Ralston had some poor moments again after that, and then he had another good moment where he keeps a goal out and throws his body into the post. Looks quite hard. So it's been I think, yeah, chaos is probably the word that sums it up. I think there's been shades of amateur, but there's also been shades of brilliance, right? The Negrin finish, some of the through balls from Engels have been sensational. And then Yang is just a mixed bag. Obviously, he's cost a goal, scored a goal, and then one of those Engels balls down the channel. Yang's in behind, and he just punts it straight into the stand. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of bag of what we're getting today, isn't it? It's weird. It's weird, man.
Two ends of the scale. And the thing with this, Sean, is I've done enough games to know that you don't have the knee-jerk reaction. You don't throw the toys at the pram at half-time, particularly at half-time. But I'm watching the game, not only from the here and now and watching the game. We're going to win this game. We're going to win it, right? And I'm watching that, but I'm also thinking about Motherwell, Rangers, other European games further down the line. And I'm asking myself, is this working? Is the system working? Is the Nancy team, is this working? Because even if something isn't working that well, you would think you're going to beat Livingston. No disrespect to Livingston, they're the worst team in the league, right? The bottom of the league, and that speaks volumes. So you're going to win that game against Livingston. So I'm going to enjoy it today. I'm going to enjoy the win. I'm going to go away happy, as I always do as a Celtic fan when we win a game, Sean. But I'm also thinking, like, the second layer for me is, was it good enough? Was it a good enough win in terms of the way that the defence is playing together? Because that first goal, it was a comedy of errors, right? So you've got a situation where Tierney plays a really poor ball. I don't know if Engels was flat-footed because he doesn't seem to move towards it. And then Yang and Ralston are culpable for the first goal. So you're looking at that. And then the second goal, I agree with you. I think Yang has to stagger to the next man, which is the guy who scores. Ralston's going for the ball, which he's entitled to do. Yet Yang goes for the same ball as Ralston, leaving Montana feet at the back post. So I agree with you. I think Yang's to blame. So Yang's culpable in both of them. And then I find myself thinking, well, is it his fault? Because he's not a defender. He's rotten at defending. We know that. He's a winger. But we have decided to play him wing back. And this was one of the points I made before the game. I look at that and I think, right, let's be honest, I'm looking ahead to the Rangers game. I've got Motherwell in between. They're going to capitalise on that, Sean. They're going to look at the fact that down that side, we are really, really weak. And all I'm saying here, and listen, I know Martin O'Neill wasn't the answer, and we might not have won the 4 games that Nancy lost. I'm not saying that, right? But at least he was playing to our strengths, and I'm not sure we're doing that. Up top, listen, Nygren's coming out his shell. We've already seen that he can score and create goals, Sean, and he's had a really good half football today. I think Engels, he's been a mixed bag under Nancy. What I want to see from him is a battling performance against Livingston. We've seen a wee bit of that. But Ralston shouldn't be playing. If you're playing 3 at the back, Ralston should not be on the park. And then when I look at the right wing-back role, there was a situation just before we scored the 3rd goal here. In fact, sorry, just before we scored the 4th goal. And we're up the right wing, and you've got Engels, Ralston and Yang. So you're talking about diamonds. And they pass the ball between each other, but they don't know what to do. They seem confused as to where do we go? Does somebody overlap? Do we try and get a ball through? And eventually nothing happens, and we end up going back the way. I just don't think that side of things is working. The system could work. Absolutely. Of course it could. But play to your strengths. Play players in the positions where they're strongest. And as I say, it's nothing against Ralston. I like him as a player. I like what he brings in terms of the determination and the attitude, Sean. But he's having a shocker today, I think. There was that one defensive moment. What are you doing? Are you just sitting watching a game and thinking, listen, we might end up winning 6-4 here, and it's going to be a good old day of entertainment? Or are you looking a wee bit deeper saying, is it actually working against a better standard of opposition? Will it work?
I was reflecting on this during the week, actually, because obviously even when we beat Aberdeen, it was like they were down. There was a lot of circumstances, right? Like Aberdeen had a man sitting off. They'd just been playing away in Europe, all that sort of thing. So I wasn't sold, even though we did absolutely dominate the game. I'm still not. It didn't sell me on the formation, the system per se. So I was thinking about it, and like, if we play that system against good teams, we'll just get annihilated. So I was wondering to myself, again, independent of today's game, does the system work in other contexts if you have different players? Like, obviously what we're seeing today is Ralston is not really, like, I hold my hand up. I've said that I fancied Ralston as a centre back at times in the past, and I've been absolutely proved wrong today and this week. So I hold my hand up to that one. But I do wonder, like, if you are playing a better team and you do have to be more defensive, you have to be more solid at set pieces. Because even though, apart from the 2 goals, we've looked vulnerable at set pieces as well. Like, there's been one landed on top of the net. There's been a few more deflected wide. So I wonder if there's, a time where you have to play Scales, Trusty, Simpson, Pusey, for example, or Murray as your back 3, and games where you're going to be less attacking. Like the Aberdeen game, we've got Ralston hitting shots, hitting volleys at goal. We've got Trusty on the edge of the D as the furthest back player, and that's a game where you're a man up, you're at home, and you're dominating the game. So that's, there's a bit of context there, but you're not going to do that like away to Roma or whatever, right? So is there space within this formation to shift personnel but still have that system work in a defensive capacity? And 4.5 games in, we have not seen any inkling of how this system works defensively. But I'm still frustrated by the set piece. I mean, the set piece thing almost seems to come from the fact that we're playing the best I don't want to say best footballing players because that doesn't count Ralston, but like we're trying to play fast players, I guess, and it leaves us with like one actual centre back in the pitch, which leaves us vulnerable at set pieces. But one of the biggest features that's really making it look as part of what you're just supporting your point, Paul, is that the amount of recovery tackles we're seeing from Austin Trusty every game. Like usually you have one a game. Yeah. You have one a game, and that'll be like a talking point after the game. Like if you think back to like derby games against Sevco, and it'll be like, oh man, that recovery tackle from Carter Vickers was a game-changing tackle. And at the moment, we're seeing like 3 to 4 a game from Austin Trusty. Yeah. And there was like another one today. So like we're getting really caught out at times, and I don't know, is it a feature or a bug? Hard to say at this point, but. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Sean. I mean, Aberdeen, I think, were very dominant against Aberdeen. It would have been a travesty if we didn't take a win on that afternoon. But your point you make about Trusty, there was 2 that I remember where they're saving tackles. Aberdeen are on the counter. And you got a bit of a hard time, actually, in the comment section. I don't know if you were aware of this. After the game, you did the post-match against Aberdeen for not being positive enough. I think what it is you look at the situation, you go, of course we're delighted to beat Aberdeen 3-1. I'll take it every day of the week. You're delighted even if it's 4-2 against Livingston today. You're delighted. You get the win. You're looking at the other scores there. Obviously, we're clawing back hearts. So hopefully we can claw back a few more goals, Sean. But I do look a game or 2 ahead. I do look to the trickier games when you're up against really, a better quality of opposition. And I do fear for the system. I think the way Nancy has shown that he plays is pretty reckless at the back. I think he's quite reckless. I mean, you look at the win percentage in his entire career, and it's just under 49%. And I think watching what I've seen in the first 5.5 games under Nancy, I can see why. Very reckless. I mean, he might outscore. He'll get wins. Of course he will. He will get wins. Will he get enough wins to win the league? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I mean, and listen, I want us to come out in the second half. I hope we make a few changes. I would like to see us playing with a right-sided centre-back in the system. I would like to see that, to see if it works better. And I'd like to see Scalesy on the left-hand side of that back 3, push Tierney up to the wing-back role. But he seems as though he's not really prepared to do that. He wants to play Yang as a wing-back. Yang can't defend. Entertainment, says Tony Cassidy. Tony, great to see you. Well, yeah, it is definitely entertainment. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Utterly ridiculous, says Colin Bean. Defending in the first 10 minutes, focus on Ralston, but in Nancy's system, Yang also massively culpable. And I think you're right. I totally agree with that. John McDowell, this will not be good enough against the better teams. That's my worry, John. And I might get a bit of flack for being negative. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm looking at this system and against a better team and how it stands up. Do we have a striker on? Seems to have gone AWOL. Kenny did get an assist, to be fair to him, Sean. He got a wee back heel assist for Yang.
Are we giving him that? Generous, Paul. Yeah, he's not been involved. Let's say that he's not missed any chances, but he's not been heavily involved, I would say, so far.
No, and again, we spoke about this before the game. It comes down to the fact that he is the last great hope through the middle. Do you maybe switch Maeder through there and bring him off? He's not having a great game. I hope we score more goals, guys. Let us know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with me here. I'm pleased with the fact we're winning 4-2. I'm not convinced with the system with this group of players. I then look ahead to January and I think, all right, magic wand time. Nancy gets the players to play the system, but we're no great at recruitment. So again, people might think that's pessimistic of me. I just think that based on evidence, that's where we are just now. We're going into the second half, Sean. It looks as though you've got your eyes on the park. Have we made any changes?
No, there's one for Livingston, but none for us.
Right, let's get back into the action then. Thanks everybody for joining us and join us at full time on A Celtic State of Mind.
On oops.